Welcome to another episode of Kerbal Space Program 2 for Science Exploration Mode. And in the last episode, we sent a satellite to Minmus. If we just go into the tracking station, we can look at Minmus. And the satellite. And this little yellow marker on the surface of Minmus is the next mission. With the satellite in place, a new mission unlocked, and that mission is to land in this crater on Minmus. And we will not only land in this crater, we will also land in most biomes of Minmus. I've prepared a Minmus Biome Jumper, and with this Biome Jumper we can jump from biome to biome because of the low gravity, and that for every new biome we get more science, and more science means more parts, and more parts just means that we can go further into the star system. So let's go to mission control and look at the mission. The Minmus Monument. And let's see what secondary missions we have. EVA, that's easy. I don't know if the lander has 200 tons, but I will just track this mission. Okay, that's not important. So, these three missions. I hope I remember that I have to EVA in Kerbal orbit. It's just 40 science points, but I want to do most of the secondary missions. And I will now show you the rocket I built. And here it is. It's very big, and under the fairing we have the Biome Jumper, and I will show it in detail in orbit and on the surface of Minmus. We have Jebediah Kerbin on board, so it's a manned mission or a Kerbal mission. I don't know if you say it like that, but I'll just call it a Kerbal mission. And I think it's the biggest rocket I've built in this playthrough. So let's go on the launch pad. I hope nothing breaks, and I will just go ahead and launch this monstrosity. It's very slow. The thrust rate ratio is very low, so it takes a long time to get up to speed with this thing. And the first stage is ready to detach in a few seconds now. And I did something called asparagus staging. So I have 4 boosters on the side, and they detach in pairs of 2. So the first 2 just detached, and fuel lines transferred the fuel from them in the other boosters, and these boosters are right now transferring their fuel into the main stage. And while doing that, they also consume fuel with their engines. And that's very efficient, and yeah, that's what I did here. And like I said, it takes a long time for it to get up to speed, but we're already at nearly 400 meters per second. Just a little trajectory correction. And I think I can click on prograde now and do a natural gravity turn. You can see the mine in the background. I don't think you can see Minmus right now. I don't even know where it would be. But after we are in orbit of Kerbin, I will make a maneuver to get to Minmus. And Minmus is farther away than the Mun, but the gravity is so low that it takes the same amount or even less fuel than landing on the Mun. And I already did some testing, so I know this thing can reach orbit, and this time it worked perfectly, and the gravity turn even was a little bit better than in my testing. And let's get rid of the fairing. We don't need that weight. We have this main stage, which will burn off very, very soon. And then we have this center stage with a small Terrier engine for the maneuver to get to Minmus, and then the lander. And we can even do the circularization burn right now. Perfect. And we are falling. That's not very good. And we are falling because of the low thrust to weight ratio. We can't achieve orbit fast enough, so that's why we are falling a little bit. And I can't do much to prevent that from happening. We are now over 2,000 meters per second, and I think we will make it. It should work. Next stage. And in my testing I dipped into the atmosphere a little bit. I hope this time that's not the case, but maybe in the map view we can see it a little bit better. Yeah, the periapsis is coming around, and the periapsis is in space. 37 meters in space. 37 meters lower and we would be in the atmosphere. Oh yeah, that's right, the EVA. Perfect. That mission is also completed. And have to say the game looks very, very good, and I did not actually play Kerbal Space Program 1, but I saw videos from it, and the graphics are way better in the second game. And the faces of the Kerbals are very funny. I don't know why he's doing that with his mouth, but let's board again. I don't think it's good for Jebediah to get so much fresh air. Not actually fresh air, but from his Atmo suit. He maybe gets some fresh air. But let's set Minmus as a target. Now we can see the orbital lines, the orbital line of Minmus. Okay, we have an ascending and descending node of minus 5.6 degrees and 5.6 degrees. So if we make a maneuver on these nodes, okay, 0.5, that's perfect. Let's orient in the direction of the maneuver. And that will take 200 delta V. And I have enough fuel. And fire the engines up. And we can see we are burning sideways to correct the trajectory to get towards Minmus. You can see the line it's dragging out here. That little line. And that meets up with the Minmus trajectory right here. Let's look at the nodes. And that should be fine. Perfect. 0.5. And now we can actually do the maneuver to get to Minmus. I'll just start here. Prograde. And with Minmus and the Man it's pretty easy. With Minmus it's a little bit harder. We already have an encounter. And that's fine, we can correct that later. And the reason why it's a little bit harder with Minmus is that if you give too much throttle, you can fly out into space and you won't be in the influence of Kerbin anymore, and we don't want that, but I will try to be careful and don't throttle up too much. Okay, I passed the maneuver a little bit, but that's not a problem. Okay. Actually, this stage is running out of fuel, so we will have to use the lander soon. But I just want to do a new maneuver here and come back around again. And here we are, 10 seconds remaining. And in a few seconds we will have to use the second, or just the lander stage. In this case it's the second stage, if you count this as the first stage. And here it is, the lander with the engine firing. Okay, throttle down. And that's all we have to do. And we will be in the sphere of influence of Minmus soon. But I will just talk about the lander a little bit. So you can see the main fuel tank right here. This guy. And then we have these baguette fuel tanks. And first they look pretty good. They're golden. And they detach. So if they're like asparagus staging, but without engines. And again, the fuel lines draw the fuel into the main tank, and they detach in pairs of 4 this time actually. And every time 4 of them run out, they detach, and then the next will be consumed, and then they drop off too. And that's just the way I designed this lander, so we have enough fuel to do all of the biome jumps. And another thing I would like for the game is that if you click on an orbital line, if you click on it, you can create a maneuver and time warp. But the orbital line of, let's say, Minmus, right here, I can't click on that. But I can click on this line, which is that line, but it's not the same thing visually. And I once tried doing this, like creating a maneuver here and then time warping, but that didn't really work and it's very confusing. So I always wait until I'm in the sphere of influence and then I do the maneuver or I time warp. But it would be cool to do this right here before you're actually in the SOI. And we have science to get here. So Minmus high orbit. That's a lot of science just from the high orbit. And we don't actually have an orbit yet, but soon we will have an orbit. I'm just gonna time warp there and phase retrograde. And I'd say we will land at the monument first, or near the monument. And we have reached orbit. let's get it down as far as possible. Maybe, well, 30 is okay. Yeah, that's okay. And it's, I think we have to go into a polar orbit to get there. Or we will just come down here and then launch again in that direction. Yeah, that sounds good. I will do that. So let's time warp to here. And then do a maneuver about here. Yeah. There. Perfect. And that landing zone is perfect, actually. And the music is going crazy. and I don't know at what altitude low over Minmus science is. Probably under 40,000, maybe. But in a few seconds we can burn. And compared to the Mun or most other celestial bodies, we have very low speeds while landing. So that's the reason why 1000 delta V on Minmus is a lot. And on the Mun that's not a lot, but on Minmus that's a great amount of delta V. And it's actually lying. It doesn't know that I will stage these. It only knows, so the delta V thing knows what asparagus staging is, but if there are no engines on the fuel tanks that will be jettisoned, it just gets confused. So I have to open this up, resource manager, Mathalogs, and then look at the baguettes. Actually, they're already drained, so I can detach them. I wasted a little bit of fuel there because I carried them around, but I didn't actually need to. But now, if we look in the research manager, we can see that these baguettes will be empty soon, and then we can drop them off. Actually, I think that oh, I made a little mistake here. I didn't place them right. I didn't put a fuel line for the second one. But I can transfer the fuel manually. Okay, so I didn't see that. I overlooked that. That I just thought if I put them right next to each other, they're one. But it makes sense that the game doesn't calculate like that. There are two individual baguette fuel tanks clipped into each other because I wanted more fuel capacity. But we just lost a small amount of fuel. And like I always say, I built my rockets in a way where these mistakes are okay. I still have enough fuel, and we can do low orbit science. And I'm just gonna brake a little bit more because I want to land on the biome Snowdrifts. Oh, what? Oh, I'm still burning. Okay. I really need to use the map view to see what our trajectory is. So right under us, there's the Snowdrifts biome, I hope. Yeah, still Snowdrifts. Just orient retrograde. Okay. 3,000 meters, 2,000. Okay. I'll wait with the landing gear.